The sun rose over the twisted forests and jagged mountains of the DEATHWORLD. Mist hung low among the trees, but the air felt warmer. The human had survived another night. His body was sore, covered in scratches and bruises, but his mind was alert, sharp, and ready. He had faced the apex predators and won. The forest had tried to kill him, but he had outsmarted it, outlasted it, and survived it. Above, the alien observers recorded everything. Their screens showed the human moving through the forest. Each step, each glance, each careful motion was analyzed. They whispered to each other in awe and fear. He has survived the night. Alone, with nothing but his body and his mind, one said. This is beyond anything we have ever studied. The other nodded. He is not just strong. He is intelligent, adaptable, fearless. Humanity is remarkable. The human approached a small clearing. A stream ran through it, clear and fresh. He knelt, cupped his hands, and drank. He listened carefully, ears tuned to every sound. There were predators nearby, but none dared approach him. The forest seemed to respect him more fear him. He stood and examined the surroundings. Broken branches, claw marks, footprints in the soil, he observed all of it carefully. Every detail mattered. Every predator's behavior taught him something. He had learned the forest's patterns, its dangers, and its opportunities. He was not just surviving, he was mastering this DEATHWORLD. Suddenly, movement caught his eye. A group of predators approached. 3 of them, smaller than the apex predator he had faced before, but still dangerous. Their eyes glowed yellow, and their teeth were sharp. They circled him cautiously, testing his reaction. The human smiled slightly. He did not panic. He did not run. He knew how to handle this. His body tensed, ready to move. He had survived worse. The first predator lunged. The human sidestepped, grabbed its clawed limb, and twisted. The creature roared and thrashed violently. The human held on, using his strength and leverage to control it. He pushed it away and faced the next predator. His movements were fast, precise, and efficient. The aliens watched silently. He fights differently from any species we know, one said. Not just strength, not just speed. Strategy, skill, instinct, it is perfect. The human used the predator's energy against them. He dodged, grabbed, and redirected each strike. The forest shook with the battle, but he remained calm. His body was a weapon, his mind a guide. Every movement was deliberate. Every strike counted. Finally, the predators scattered. The human had not killed them. He had only shown them that he could not be easily defeated. They retreated into the forest, wary and cautious. The human stood alone, breathing steadily. He had won again. The aliens could not hide their astonishment. It is incredible. Humanity survives where no other life can. They dominate without weapons. They adapt, learn, and overcome. The human continued his journey. He moved through the forest carefully, marking his path, noting where predators might appear, and finding safe places to rest. The DEATHWORLD was still deadly, but he was learning its rules. He was turning danger into opportunity. By midday, he reached a rocky plateau overlooking a wide valley. The view was breathtaking, but he had no time to admire it. Movement in the valley caught his eye. Another apex predator, larger and stronger than the one he had faced before, prowled below. Its eyes were fixed on him. The human crouched, observing. He did not panic. He calculated. He could see its movements, its patterns, its weight, and its speed. He knew this would be the ultimate test. The predator was the strongest on the planet. But the human's instincts were sharper than any predator's senses. The predator roared and charged. The human leapt to the side, dodging with precision. Dust and rocks flew into the air. The predator struck again, faster than expected. The human ducked, rolled, and sprang to his feet. His body moved like lightning, muscles responding instantly to every threat. The aliens watched in horror and fascination. "It is impossible," one whispered. "No life form can survive that." But he does. The human engaged the predator fully. He grabbed its claws, twisted its limbs, and used its strength against it. The predator roared and struggled, but the human's endurance and skill were superior. Every strike, every movement, every hold was calculated. He did not hesitate. He did not fear. He had faced death and won before, and he would do it again. Minutes passed, tore hours. Time seemed to stretch as the human and the predator battled. Finally, with one final effort, the predator collapsed. Its massive body lay still on the ground. The human stood over it, breathing heavily, his body battered but unbroken. The aliens were silent. None could believe what they had witnessed. It is humanity. They are not just survivors. They are apex beings themselves. The human knelt, checking the predator. It was dead, but he treated it with respect. He did not celebrate. He had survived, yes, but he understood the power of the creature he had faced. Respect was part of survival. Compassion was part of strength. He moved away from the predator and continued his journey. The aliens watched in awe, recording every moment. They had come to study the Death World, but they had discovered something far more extraordinary: humanity itself. As the day passed, the human explored the valley, finding food, water, and shelter. He avoided unnecessary fights, but did not shy away from danger. Every predator he encountered, every challenge he faced, was met with intelligence, skill, and courage. The aliens began to communicate among themselves. "We must report this to the Council," one said. "Humanity cannot be underestimated. They are not weak, fragile, or simple. They are extraordinary." The other nodded. "We have studied many species, but none like this. They survive where no other life can. They fight with strength, strategy, and instinct combined. We must respect them, or fear them." The human made camp as night fell again. He built a small shelter from branches and rocks. He kept a fire going, both for warmth and for safety. Predators approached, but kept their distance. They sensed his strength. They had learned that he was not an easy target. Above, the alien scouts continued to watch. They had never seen anything like this. Humanity was not just a species, they were a force of nature. They adapted, survived, and dominated even the deadliest environments. The human slept lightly, aware of every sound. His muscles ached, but his mind was sharp. He was alive because he respected the planet and understood its dangers. He had survived the apex predators, proven his strength, mastered the environment. The aliens whispered among themselves, "They are perfect survivors. They are not just strong, they are adaptable, intelligent, fearless. Humanity is unstoppable." Morning came. The human rose, stretched, and prepared to continue his journey. The forest was still dangerous, but he was ready. Every step, every movement, every breath was calculated. He was alive, and he had proven that humans could survive anywhere. The aliens recorded every detail. They knew that humanity had changed their understanding of life. Humans were not just a species. They were a force that could survive, dominate, and inspire fear and respect across the galaxy. The human moved through the forest, leaving behind the tracks of his journey. Every predator, every challenge, every danger had been met and overcome. He had survived the Death World and shown the aliens the full power of humanity, and as he disappeared into the dense trees, the aliens made a silent promise. They would never underestimate humanity again. The galaxy had seen a glimpse of what humans could do, and it was more than any species could imagine. Humanity was not just alive. Humanity was unstoppable. The predators of the planet would continue to roam, but none would forget the human who had faced them, unarmed, fearless, and victorious. The aliens would carry the memory of this human forever, knowing that humans were a species unlike any other species that combined intelligence, instinct, courage, and strength in a way no other life could match. The Death World remained deadly, but the human had mastered it, and the aliens, watching from above, would never see humans in the same way again. The stars stretched endlessly above the small human ship. Odyssey, As it entered the atmosphere of the distant jungle planet, Captain Mark Reynolds stood at the control panel, his eyes scanning the thick green canopy below. The planet had no cities, no signs of intelligent life, just endless forests, jagged cliffs, and rivers that shimmered under the alien sun. "Looks beautiful," said Lieutenant Sarah Kim, leaning over Mark's shoulder, "but also deadly. We still don't know what lives down there." Mark nodded. He had explored dangerous worlds before, but this one felt different. Something about the shadows between the trees made the hairs on his arms stand on end. He adjusted the ship's landing thrusters and steered toward a clearing marked on their map far above. In orbit, a group of alien scientists observed the human ship through advanced surveillance drones. Their bodies were frail and small compared to the humans, and their long limbs seemed ill-equipped for any kind of direct physical confrontation. Yet they were curious. Humans were unusual, strong, unpredictable, and reckless by their standards. "Humans are so fragile," one alien whispered, its compound eyes focused on the ship. "They will die instantly if the wild creatures attack. Why do they come here?" Another shook its slender head. "Perhaps they are foolish. Or perhaps they are interesting." The Odyssey touched down with a soft thrum. The landing gear sank slightly into the damp soil of the clearing. The air smelled heavy and earthy, thick with humidity. Mark and his small team 3, other humans besides, Sarah prepared their gear. Light rifles, scanning devices, and backpacks filled with sensors and tools. "Remember," Mark said, checking the map on his wrist pad, "we are here for samples, not to fight. Stick together. Keep eyes open. This planet is known for its apex predator. Don't be its next meal." The aliens watched with quiet amusement. Surely, they thought, these humans would be no match for the planet's apex predator. It was enormous, over 3 meters tall, with scales harder than steel and claws sharper than any human weapon. Its roar could shake the ground, and its speed made it almost invisible when it struck. Mark led his team into the jungle. The trees towered above, their leaves blocking most of the sunlight. Strange sounds echoed all around, insects buzzing, distant roars, and the slithering of creatures moving through the undergrowth. Sarah adjusted her scanner, which beeped faintly as it detected movement nearby. Life forms. But nothing close, she reported, except something big, moving fast. Mark nodded. He knew the feeling of being watched. The apex predator might be nearby, waiting. He signaled for the team to slow down, moving carefully over roots and rocks. Suddenly, a branch snapped behind them. The team froze. From the shadows, 2 glowing eyes appeared. The predator stepped into the clearing. Its massive body glistened under the filtered sunlight. The humans froze in fear. Its claws dug into the soil, leaving deep marks. Its long tail swished like a whip. The aliens, watching from above, widened their eyes. "It is the human," one said. "They are so small. How can they survive?" Mark did not run. Instead, he took a deep breath and studied the predator. The creature growled, a sound like thunder, and charged. It moved faster than the humans' rifles could aim. Sarah and the others screamed and scattered, seeking cover behind thick trees. Mark stood his ground. He had no weapons in his hands, only his instincts. The predator leaped at him, claws extended. Mark rolled to the side, narrowly avoiding the strike. The creature skidded on the soft soil and turned sharply, jaws snapping. The aliens gasped. No human had ever faced such a predator alone. They expected instant death. Mark's mind worked quickly. He remembered everything he had learned about animals, even from Earth. Apex predators relied on power, speed, and surprise, but they also had weaknesses. Their limbs could be trapped, their momentum used against them. He needed to survive long enough to outsmart the beast. The predator lunged again. Mark ducked, using a fallen branch to hit the creature's side. It roared in pain but did not stop. Its tail lashed, knocking Mark to the ground. Pain shot through his shoulder, but he gritted his teeth and rolled under the creature's next swing. The humans hiding in the trees watched in shock. They had never seen anything like this. One wrong move, and Mark could have been killed. Mark saw an opportunity. The predator was fast, but not as clever as him. He waited until the creature's claws dug into the soft earth, then he grabbed its front leg with both hands. Using all his strength, he twisted, forcing it off balance. The predator stumbled, its roar echoing through the jungle. The aliens recording the event from orbit exchanged worried glances. This should be impossible, one said. A human, holding an apex predator with bare hands. How? Mark used the momentum to roll the predator onto its side. He pinned it against a rock, his arms shaking from the effort. The predator struggled, but Mark's grip did not falter. He could feel its strength, its power, but he also felt its exhaustion. He had learned to read creatures like this. They fought hard at first. Then repeated attacks drained them if the opponent held firm. The humans in hiding slowly stepped closer, eyes wide. They had doubted Mark's abilities, but now fear mixed with awe. Here was a human, defying every expectation. The predator roared one last time, trying to break free. Mark held it firm. He could feel the life in its muscles weakening. The humans in the clearing realized something remarkable. Mark was not just strong. He was calm, focused, and smart. Every movement he made was precise. He was reading the predator, predicting its attacks, and turning its own power against it. Finally, the predator gave a low growl and stopped fighting. Its heavy breathing filled the air. Mark loosened his grip slightly, but stayed ready. Slowly, the creature turned and loped back into the dense jungle. Leaving massive footprints in the mud, Mark sank to the ground, exhausted but alive. Sarah and the others rushed to his side. They stared at him, unable to speak. The humans had expected danger, yes, but nothing like this. Far above, the aliens were silent. Their small bodies trembled with a mix of horror and fascination. They had studied humans for decades, assuming humans were weak, fragile, and predictable. Yet here was one human, not just surviving, but overpowering the deadliest predator on a planet with nothing but bare hands and sheer willpower. This changes everything, one alien whispered. They are stronger than we thought. Faster, smarter, and fearless. Another shivered. We need to observe them more closely. They are not like any species we know. If one human can defeat that, what could a group do? Back on the ground, Mark slowly stood. Blood and mud stained his uniform, but his eyes were sharp. He turned to his team. We need to keep moving, he said. This planet is alive and it's dangerous, but we will survive if we stay smart. Stick together. The team nodded, their fear giving way to newfound respect. They had underestimated humans before, but now they understood something important. Humans were not just survivors. They were fighters, capable of adapting, outthinking, overpowering creatures that no one else could. As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the jungle, Mark led his team deeper into the wild. Unknown to them, the aliens in orbit continued to watch, their minds racing with questions about human potential. In the distance, the apex predator's roar echoed once more. It was a warning and perhaps a challenge. But Mark did not flinch. He had faced death and lived. The humans were not helpless, and this planet would soon learn that one human's courage could outmatch even the apex of the jungle. The story of survival, strength, and human instinct had begun in the universe. For those watching, was about to rethink everything it knew about humans. The jungle seemed alive in every sense. The air was thick with humidity, carrying the scent of wet soil and strange plants. Birds with bright feathers called out from the treetops, and creatures scuttled through the undergrowth, hiding as humans passed. Mark Reynolds led his small team cautiously, every step measured, every sound analyzed. Sarah Kim walked beside him, scanning with her portable device. There's movement ahead, she whispered, but it's different. Not the predator you fought before. Mark's eyes narrowed. Then we need to find out carefully. Stay close, everyone. No sudden moves. The aliens in orbit had not taken their eyes off the planet. They were fascinated, confused, and more than a little fearful. One of them, a small gray creature with spindly limbs, adjusted a viewing lens. The humans survived the apex predator, it said. But now they are moving into even denser territory. What can a single human do against the unknown? Another alien, larger and more cautious, shook its head. It is impossible. Yet. The human is still alive. Perhaps their strength is more than physical. On the ground, Mark's team entered a dense thicket. Massive roots twisted like snakes, and giant ferns brushed against their faces. Every rustle of leaves made their hearts race. The apex predator had disappeared, but Mark knew it would not stay gone for long. "I think it's watching us," Mark said quietly. "We need to stay alert, but don't panic." Suddenly, a shadow moved above them. Branches snapped, and a second predator dropped into the clearing. This one was slightly smaller than the first, but just as fast and just as deadly. Its eyes glowed red in the dim light, and its claws scraped the ground. Mark held up his hand, signaling the team to stop. Everyone backed slowly. "Don't make sudden movements." The predator crouched, ready to leap. Its tail lashed violently, and the air seemed to vibrate with its energy. Sarah's scanner beeped frantically. "It's stronger than the first one. Its speed. Incredible." Mark's heart pounded, but he stayed calm. His first encounter had taught him something important. Predators attacked with strength, but humans could outthink them. He studied its stance, its breathing, its eyes. The creature was confident, powerful, but not clever enough to anticipate his moves. The predator lunged. Mark sidestepped, narrowly avoiding its razor-sharp claws. He grabbed a fallen vine and swung it across the creature's body, slowing its momentum. The predator hissed and turned, eyes locking on him. The aliens above gasped. "How is it still standing?" one whispered. "That attack should have killed it. It is incredible." Mark rolled to the side as the predator charged again. He remembered how animals on Earth fought. Momentum could be used against them. Strength could be redirected. He waited until the creature struck, then twisted its front leg, forcing it off balance. The predator roared, frustrated. Sarah and the others watched in awe. Mark's calm and quick thinking kept him alive, but the predator was relentless. It attacked again and again, faster and stronger each time. Yet Mark anticipated every move, rolling, dodging, and using the jungle to his advantage. "You're amazing," Sarah whispered. "How do you do it?" Mark gritted his teeth, sweat running down his face. "Focus. Watch. Learn. They are powerful, yes, but not unstoppable." The predator growled, circling him like a shadow. Its claws dug into the soft soil, leaving deep marks. Mark noticed something. The predator's stamina was not infinite. It was fast, strong, and dangerous, but it tired with repeated effort. He needed to outlast it. Using his knowledge of leverage, Mark grabbed a thick branch and swung it to redirect the predator's momentum. When it lunged again, he sidestepped and twisted its leg, causing it to stumble. Each time it attacked, he learned. Adapting faster than the creature expected, the aliens above were silent, recording every movement. The human is not only strong, it is learning, adapting, anticipating, one murmured. No species should be able to do this. Mark's breathing was heavy, his body aching, but his mind was clear. He moved like the predator itself, anticipating, calculating, and striking at just the right moment. He used his weight, his arms, and the ground beneath him. Each movement was precise, measured, and purposeful. Finally, after a long struggle, the predator began to slow. Its attacks were less forceful, its movements more predictable. Mark knew the moment had come. He charged forward, grappling with the creature. Using all his strength, he pinned one of its limbs against a tree root. The predator struggled, but Mark held firm. The humans in the clearing watched in disbelief. They had never seen anything like this. Mark, small in size compared to the massive predator, was controlling it with sheer human determination. The predator tried to twist free. But Mark anticipated its moves, adjusting his grip, using leverage. And keeping the creature off balance, slowly it stopped fighting as fiercely. Its glowing eyes blinked rapidly, and it lowered its body slightly. The aliens above were shocked. It is controlling it. One human? Controlling the apex predator. Mark held the creature for a few moments longer, breathing heavily. He felt its power, its strength, but he also felt its fatigue. The predator was smart, yes, but humans were clever. Humans could endure, adapt, and overcome. Finally, the creature gave a low, rumbling growl and backed away. It turned, limping slightly, and disappeared into the dense jungle. The humans breathed in relief. Mark sank to the ground, his muscles trembling from the effort. Sarah rushed to his side, checking him for injuries. "Are you okay?" she asked, astonished. "I will be," Mark said, wiping sweat from his brow. "We survived. That's what matters." The rest of the team gathered around him, their fear replaced by admiration. They had doubted him, but now they saw something extraordinary. Humans were not only survivors, they were fighters. Able to face unimaginable dangers with courage, intelligence, and raw strength. High above, the aliens continued to watch. Their small bodies trembled as they discussed what they had seen. Humans. "They are different from anything we have studied," one said. "Stronger, faster, smarter, and fearless." Another nodded slowly. "We underestimated them. We thought they were weak, fragile. But this human, this one, humandified every expectation." What could a group do? The aliens paused, recording every movement, every strategy, and every reaction of Mark. They realized that humans were not merely physical beings. They combined instinct, intelligence, and courage in ways that no other species could match. Back on the jungle floor, Mark and his team began to move again, deeper into the forest. They had survived one predator, but the jungle was full of dangers. New sounds echoed through the trees, some familiar, some unknown. "We need to stay alert," Mark said, adjusting his gear. "This planet is alive, and it's testing us, but we are ready." The humans continued cautiously, using the knowledge they had gained from the first predator. They moved quietly, scanning the surroundings and staying close together. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a branch made them tense, but they were not afraid. Not like before. They had seen what humans could do when courage and intelligence came together. The jungle was quiet for a few moments. Then a distant roar echoed. Mark froze. His eyes scanned the trees. "That's not the same predator," he said quietly. "Something bigger. Something faster." The aliens above leaned forward, their antennas twitching. "Impossible," one said. "No human should survive that." Mark's team didn't flinch. They had learned from the first encounter. They moved carefully, using every trick, every bit of knowledge they had about survival. The jungle seemed darker now. It's filled with unknown threats, but the humans were ready. Mark knew that the apex predator they had faced was only the beginning. The planet had more challenges, more dangers, and more surprises waiting for them. But he also knew that humans had something no other species had: adaptability, courage, and the will to survive. As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the jungle, the humans pressed on. Each step was careful, each movement deliberate. And high above, the aliens watched, horrified and fascinated, as humans faced the raw power of the planet and survived, not just by chance, but by skill, instinct, and determination. The story of human strength, intelligence, and courage was spreading. Even in the silence of the stars, and the universe, for those observing, was beginning to realize that humans were not ordinary beings. They were extraordinary. The jungle was alive with tension. The air was thick, humid, and heavy with the scent of wet soil and green leaves. Every rustle of foliage could signal danger. Mark Reynolds moved cautiously with his team, their eyes scanning the dense forest. He knew the apex predator was still out there. It had retreated, but not defeated. Something in its wild intelligence told Mark it would return. Sarah Kim walked beside him, her scanner still active. "Mark, I'm picking up something unusual," she said. "It's big. larger than the first predator. And it's moving fast, Mark nodded. Then we need to be ready. Keep your head, everyone. Don't panic. We've faced it before. We can do it again. Aliens observing from orbit were silent. Their small, frail bodies twitched in disbelief. This human. It survived twice already, one said, its voice trembling. How can one creature withstand the apex predators of a planet? Perhaps humans are not what we thought, another replied. They combine speed, strength, and intelligence unlike any species we know. On the jungle floor, the humans pressed forward. The sunlight barely reached the forest floor, filtered by the thick canopy above. Suddenly, the ground shook with heavy footsteps. Mark froze. From the shadows, the apex predator emerged. This time, it was larger, stronger, and angrier than before. Its eyes glowed with a fiery intensity, and its roar echoed through the trees. Shaking the leaves and branches, the human stepped back instinctively, but Mark did not. He planted his feet firmly in the soft soil, his eyes locked on the predator, his muscles tensed, ready for the challenge. He had survived before, but now he needed to finish this encounter. The predator charged, claws extended, teeth bared. Mark rolled to the side, narrowly avoiding the deadly attack. He grabbed a thick vine and swung it, redirecting the predator's momentum. The creature roared, frustrated, and spun in a circle. The aliens above gasped. One human. Against the apex predator? And it moves with skill and strategy. Mark noticed the creature's patterns. It was fast, yes, but predictable. It relied on power, speed, and instinct. Humans, however, could combine strength with intelligence. He decided to use the predator's own energy against it, as the predator lunged again. Mark dodged, allowing the creature to overshoot. He grabbed one of its massive limbs and twisted, using his weight to push it off balance. The predator stumbled and fell onto the soft earth. Roaring in frustration, the humans in the clearing watched, hearts pounding. They had never seen such a sight. A single human, small compared to the enormous predator, was controlling it with skill, intelligence, and raw courage. Sarah whispered, "It's impossible." Yet it's happening. Mark's body ached, sweat poured down his face, but he stayed focused. He could feel the predator's power, its rage, and its determination. Yet he also felt its fatigue. Its movements were slower now, less precise. He had learned its rhythm, its strength, and its weaknesses. Using all his strength, Mark lifted the predator slightly, leveraging its momentum to pin it against a tree. The massive claws scraped against the bark, but he held firm. The predator thrashed violently, trying to break free, but Mark adjusted his grip. Shifting his weight and staying calm, the aliens above were silent. Their eyes widened. It is mastering the predator's own power, one said. How can a single human manipulate a creature like that? Mark stayed firm, waiting for the right moment. He knew that brute strength alone would not win. He had to outthink the predator completely. As it struggled, he noticed the subtle signs of exhaustion, its breathing, the slight trembling of its muscles, the way it relied more on brute force than strategy. He used its own force against it again. With a sudden twist and push, the predator was forced onto its side. Mark pinned it, holding its massive limbs with every ounce of strength. The creature roared once, then stopped, realizing it could not overpower him. Its glowing eyes met his, and there was a moment of understanding. Wild power could be met and controlled by intelligence. Courage and determination. The humans in the clearing could hardly believe what they were seeing. Mark, battered, sweaty, and exhausted, had overpowered the apex predator with nothing but his own hands and mind. The jungle was silent, except for the predator's heavy breathing and the humans' awed whispers. High above, the aliens were still observing, their bodies trembling. It won, one said finally, disbelief in its voice. No species should be able to control the apex predator like that. How can a human accomplish such a feat? Another alien, more cautious, spoke slowly. They are more than we thought. They are strong, fast, clever, and fearless. One human has defeated the apex predator of this planet. We must rethink everything we know about them." Mark finally released the predator. It took a few steps back, then slowly retreated into the dense jungle. Its eyes never left him. Mark understood that it had recognized something important. Humans were not weak, fragile, or predictable. They could survive, fight, and triumph against creatures that no other species could face. Mark sank to the ground, breathing heavily. Sarah and the others rushed to him, helping him to his feet. "That was incredible," Sarah said. "I've never seen anything like it." Mark smiled faintly. "It's not just strength," he said. "It's focus, understanding, and never giving up. That's what makes humans strong." The team moved slowly out of the clearing, careful but proud. They had witnessed something extraordinary. One human had faced the apex of the planet's wilds and survived. They now understood that humans were not just ordinary beings. They were fighters, survivors, and masters of both mind and body. The aliens continued to watch from orbit. Their discussions were full of confusion and awe. "We underestimated them," one said. "Humans combine intelligence, instinct, and courage in ways no other species can. One human has survived where none should have. They are remarkable." Another added, "We need to study them further. Not as weaklings, but as a species capable of unmatched feats." One human alone overpowered the apex predator of this planet. Imagine a group of them. Back on the planet, Mark led his team out of the dense forest. The sunlight broke through the canopy, shining on their tired but determined faces. They were battered and bruised, but they had survived. They had faced death in the form of a creature that ruled the jungle, and they had come out victorious. Sarah looked at Mark. "Do you think we'll see it again?" she asked. Mark shook his head. "Maybe, but it doesn't matter. We survived, and we learned. That's what counts. Humans can adapt, fight, and overcome. That predator won't forget a sand, neither will the universe." As the humans made their way back to the Odyssey, the jungle seemed calmer. The apex predator had retreated, but the story of its encounter with Mark Reynolds would live on. It was a story of courage, intelligence, and the extraordinary power of a single human. The aliens observed quietly, recording every detail. Their assumptions about humans had been shattered. One small human had challenged the apex predator of a wild planet and had won. They realized that humans could not be judged by their size or appearance. Their combination of mind, courage, and instinct made them a force unlike any other. Mark's team finally reached the edge of the forest. They looked back at the jungle, knowing they had survived something most species could never face. Their hearts were filled with pride and awe. Humans were not weak. Humans could endure. Humans could conquer, and somewhere in the shadows of the jungle, the apex predator watched and remembered. It had faced a being unlike any other one who had challenged its power and lived. The predator knew that humans were something extraordinary. Mark took a deep breath, looking at his team. "We've proven something today," he said quietly. "Humans survive. Humans adapt. And humans can face anything." The sun set behind the jungle, casting golden light over the clearing. The humans, tired but victorious, walked back to their ship. Far above, the aliens observed, their minds racing. They had learned a lesson they would never forget. Humans were a species to be feared, respected, and studied. One human had faced the apex predator and emerged victorious. Now the universe had to take notice. The story of human strength, courage, and intelligence had reached beyond the planet. It was a story that would echo across the stars, changing the way every observer, every species, thought about humans. They were not just survivors, they were extraordinary. And in that jungle, in the shadows, life had witnessed the impossible. One human had faced an apex predator and had won. The human starship Aurora floated silently above the misty surface of an uncharted planet. Its hull shimmered under the faint light of a distant sun, reflecting the dense clouds that clung to the horizon. Captain Jaren Cade stood at the viewport, watching the swirling fog below. This planet had appeared on no human maps. yet it radiated energy signals that hinted at life's intelligent life. "Captain, the scanners show life forms," said Lieutenant Mira, her voice steady but tense. "But they're unlike anything we've seen before. Their energy signatures are organized, almost purposeful." Jaren nodded. "Then we have a choice. We explore, or we leave and report. I think we should explore. Humanity didn't reach the stars by turning back at the first sign of danger." The shuttle doors hissed open, letting in the cold, humid air of the alien world. The team stepped out cautiously, their boots sinking slightly into the soft, moss-like ground. Strange plants, glowing faintly in shades of green and blue, swayed as if sensing the newcomers. The air carried an unfamiliar tang, but it was breathable. Jaren adjusted his helmet, scanning the area with his visor. "Stay close. Move slow. Remember, these beings may be intelligent. We don't want to start a war we cannot win." The human team moved forward, careful to make no sudden movements. In the distance, they noticed motions something large moving through the fog. The shapes were humanoid but taller than any human, their limbs graceful yet strong. Jaren's heart raced. First contact with an alien civilization could change everything. Suddenly, one of the beings broke from the fog and rushed toward them. It moved with incredible speed, yet it didn't attack immediately. Its armor shimmered, reflecting the dim light. The human team tensed, weapons ready, but fingers hesitant. The being stopped a few meters away, raising its arms in a gesture that seemed neither hostile nor friendly. Its helmet glowed faintly, hiding its face entirely. Jaren stepped forward slowly. "I am Captain Jaren Cade, of the human ship Aurora," he said, his voice calm but firm. "We come in peace. We mean no harm." The alien remained silent. Then, with a quick motion, it raised a device from its wrist, and a holographic map appeared. Symbols and patterns flashed rapidly, too complex for the humans to understand immediately. Mira frowned. "It looks like a warning, or a challenge," she muttered. Before anyone could react further, the ground beneath the alien shook violently. Rocks and debris tumbled from the cliffs surrounding them. The alien tripped, struggling to regain balance. Without thinking, Jaren dashed forward and grabbed the alien's arm, steadying it. The alien froze for a moment, then looked up at him, its eyes glowing faintly through the visor. In that instant, Jaren felt something strange, a connection, brief and powerful. It wasn't just fear or curiosity. It was recognition. The alien's armor emitted a soft hum, and it gestured urgently toward the cliffs. Jaren glanced up and saw that a large section of the rock face was collapsing, threatening to crush both of them. Without hesitation, he pulled the alien out of the way, rolling onto the soft moss. Rocks crashed behind them, sending dust and mist into the air. They lay side by side, breathing heavily. The alien's helmet tilted slightly toward him, as if assessing. Then slowly, it made a gesture Jaren had seen humans use, lifting a hand in thanks. "Are you thanking me?" Jaren asked, still catching his breath. The alien did not answer in words. Instead, it pointed to its device and then at the human ship. The message was clear. Danger was everywhere. The planet itself was unstable, and staying in one place was risky. Jaren nodded. "We need to work together. I can help you, and maybe you can help us." For the first time, the alien seemed to hesitate, then finally lowered its weapon. It stepped closer, moving cautiously. Jaren noticed the subtle strength in its movements, the way every step was measured yet fluid. Humans were strong, yes, but this being had an elegance that hinted at years of training and discipline, as they moved together toward safer ground. The alien's visor reflected the human's face for a brief moment. Something unspoken passed between them, a recognition of courage, perhaps, or a shared understanding of danger. Jaren felt his chest tighten slightly. He had faced countless risks in his career, but this was different. Suddenly, a low rumble echoed through the valley. The fog shifted violently, revealing dozens of alien creatures emerging from the mist. They were similar to the first alien, but smaller, less armored, and more aggressive. Their movements were fast, coordinated, and clearly hostile. "Stay behind me," Jaren shouted, drawing his sidearm. The humans formed a defensive line. Mira activated her energy shield, creating a faint blue barrier in front of them. The first alien moved forward, placing itself between the humans and the attackers. Its device hummed, and a pulse of energy pushed the smaller creatures back slightly. The humans were amazed. It was as if the alien could control energy directly. Jaren realized they had no choice. To survive, they needed to trust this alien completely. He nodded at it, silently agreeing to follow its lead. The alien responded with a subtle nod and gestured for the humans to follow. Together, they ran through narrow paths, avoiding falling rocks and alien predators. Every step tested their coordination, but slowly, they reached a plateau where the terrain was stable. The alien paused, turning to look at Jaren and his team. Then, for the first time, it did something unexpected. It removed its helmet completely. Jaren froze. The face that looked back at him was unlike anything he had imagined. Sharp, elegant features, eyes that glowed faintly in the mist, and a look of determination that could pierce steel. Shahi realized the alien was female was breathtaking. Not just in appearance, but in presence. "Beautiful," Jaren whispered. Almost without realizing it, the alien's eyes widened slightly, but she did not retreat. Instead, she closed the distance between them slowly, deliberately. Her expression was calm, confident, and yet there was a hint of curiosity. For the first time, Jaren felt that humans were not just explorers or invaders on this planet. Here, they could be partners, allies, even friends. Mira broke the silence, whispering to Jaren, "She trusts you. She's showing us she trusts you." Jaren nodded, his heart still racing. Trust was rare in the galaxy, especially from a species humans knew nothing about. Yet here it was, extended across the unknown gap between worlds. The alien gestured to a path leading deeper into the planet. She did not speak, but her movements were clear. She wanted them to follow her. Jaren glanced at his team. Everyone was tense but ready. Following her could be dangerous, but it was also their best chance to survive, to learn about this new world as they walked together. Jaren noticed more subtle details, the way she moved with purpose. The faint hum of energy from her device, the way her eyes scanned constantly for threats. He realized that humans might be strong, adaptable, and brave. But this alien's discipline and awareness were beyond anything they had encountered. Still, Jaren felt no fear. If anything, he felt admiration. Not just for her abilities, but for her courage, her willingness to trust them, and the silent bond forming between them. He understood, in a way, that humanity's strength lay not only in technology or weapons, but in the willingness to reach out. To connect, to take risks for others. The mist thickened ahead, and strange glowing plants lit the path. Jaren took a deep breath. Ahead lay unknown dangers, unknown creatures, and possibly allies or enemies. But he also knew something else: humanity had reached this point because they never turned away from the unknown. And now, side by side with this remarkable alien, they would face whatever the planet had in store. The first encounter had ended, but a new journey was beginning, one of trust, discovery, and perhaps something more. Humanity was far from alone in the galaxy, and Jaren understood that this alien, with her strength and grace, might just change everything humans thought they knew about survival, courage, and connection.